My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. I just made it out here to this National Forest campsite at an elevation of roughly 1,900 feet. As you all can see, it is a foggy, rainy day. It is absolutely perfect. Currently, the temp is 54 degrees and it feels fantastic, especially with the mist falling down. Tomorrow, it's going to be substantially hotter. I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. For now, why don't we focus on this nightstand here. This is what you find in a national forest. I'm honestly surprised there's not more. Seriously, I'm shocked there's not an entire living room set out here in the forest, because oftentimes that's how it goes. When you go far out into the middle of nowhere, for some reason, it's easier for people to dump their stuff out in the middle of nowhere than take it to a dump center. Anyways, this is an oddity. I'm surprised there's not more, you know. Anyways, everybody, it is going to be a rainy day. It is going to be a rainy night, which is perfect for an overnight adventure. The first thing that I need to do is to get a tarp up to get some protection from the rain, because this is not going to stop. It's going to last for the rest of the day into tonight. Let's get to work. I'll put up one more pole here in the middle just to prevent pulling. Then I'll be done. Done with the tarp setup, I should say. This is such a beautiful spot, folks. I really do love it. Tell you what, we might as well get the back of the 4Runner ready for tonight. Why not? Let's just get that done and out of the way. I know what you're thinking, folks. You're thinking, Luke, you must have forgotten an inflator. Of course not. Absolutely not. I never forget anything. I just want to do this manually. You know what I mean? Do you guys believe that by any chance? Maybe? You know what? I actually do have an inflator. But do I have a battery? Yes, I do. Just in case of emergencies where I have to inflate a tire, I have this DeWalt compressor. And folks, it works incredibly well. As far as the back goes, it is pretty much done. There's a little bit more that I could do with lights and whatnot, but for the most part, it is done. I'm gonna go ahead, set up a table, a chair, so we have a place to sit, a place to cook, a place to make more coffee at. What a great spot right here. You know what I mean? I mean, we can sit here, we can have dinner, we can stare at this awesome field here with the fog. This is really, really nice, everybody. Thunder. It appears there's a storm out there somewhere, folks. Awesome. You know, everyone, I started testing this stove out roughly 6 months ago. There's something special about this stove. It is the most powerful stove I have ever tested out, ever. I mean, it's not even close. 24,500 BTUs from this canister stove. Most canister stoves will boil 2 cups of water between like 3 to 5 minutes, right? This will do it in less than 1. It will boil an entire liter of water in less than 2 minutes. The problem with this stove is this: it gets so incredibly hot and the materials do not cool down. This stove is a serious burn risk. The company that made this stove made it out of brass. Brass has a very low level of thermal conductivity, meaning it holds in that heat. So as soon as it gets hot, it takes forever for this thing to cool down. At the same time, the bottom of the stove gets so hot, I'm afraid it could start a fire. I'm afraid that it can melt your table. That's why I put that piece of tinfoil down, just to help out. Oh yes, this stove is very impressive, but at the same time, it's also very dangerous. That was only about 20 seconds worth of runtime, and it almost boiled that water. It is so hot already that I can't drink it. Now that, everyone, is a fantastic cup of coffee. And this is a fantastic place to camp. I am so glad that I was able to come down here one more time before it got too hot, too buggy. Check this out, folks. Today, 54 degrees. Tomorrow, 81. The next day, 86. The next day, 88. It is amazing how hot it can get down here in the foothills of North Carolina. It is unbelievable. It's even hotter than like the middle of the state or even at the coast. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Something about it just traps in heat, holds in heat. Now you may be wondering, Luke, why are you drinking so much coffee? That's because I'm a little bit tired today. I stayed with my mom last night, took care of her, didn't get much sleep, but still I wanted to come out and enjoy these conditions, so I hit the road as soon as I could. Just in case you do not know, my mother is dying from brain cancer, so we're all taking turns taking care of her and so on. But yeah, it's nice to be down here. It really is. It is super, super foggy right now too, which I really, really like. That thunderstorm is still out there, moving very, very slowly. The fog has gotten thicker too. Visibility is about 50 feet at the moment, and the temperature is definitely dropping. In last week's adventure, I was speaking about the fires here in western North Carolina. Luckily, thanks to all of the rain that we've received recently, I think they're all under control after burning like 13,000 acres. The fire ban has been lifted, so tonight we can have a fire. Not that there's anything dry to burn out here, but we can have one. I do have a compressed log and a stove with me, so we can fire that up if we want to. That's a really easy way to go about having a fire. The only thing is, the smell from those things is pretty bad. Kind of toxic smelling. You're like burning like wax and cardboard or something or other. But it is an option. It's an option that we have. As it stands now, it's getting later into the afternoon. It's about 5 o'clock. The sun will be down in about an hour and a half, something like that. The temperature is already dropping. It's gotten quite dark. I'm not sure how well the camera adjusts for that, but definitely dark out. The perfect day, ladies and gentlemen. Perfect day. A very low-key adventure compared to last week's trip. I'm not sure if you all saw that. If you haven't, make sure to check it out. The forecast for where I was like gusts up to 29 miles an hour. That was completely inaccurate. It was sustained winds at like 40, 45. It was crazy. I was out on a backpacking trip and I had hiked to the top of this mountain, and those winds, I mean, from the moment I got there and began setting up, they got stronger and stronger and stronger. And by like, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night, it was just like a freight train. That's what it sounded like. Without a doubt, these conditions are a major improvement. This is fantastic compared to what I camped in last week. Everyone, this smells and looks incredible. What I have here, folks, is a California chicken melt. Seasoned chicken, onions, peppers, spinach, all of that seasoned too, along with some avocado on top. Is this a healthy meal? Yes, it is. Is it gonna be tasty? Yes, it is. Every time that I make something like even remotely healthy, I see the comments. People always have something to say. Folks, not every meal could be hamburgers and hot dogs. You know what I mean? When you get old, you have to start thinking about your health. And it's probably smart to start thinking about it when you're young too. Anyways, I'm gonna eat this because it's gonna be tasty, and that's why. So let's go, everyone. Let's give this a shot. That is really, really good. Is it a cheeseburger? No. No, it's not. But it's still awesome. Thank you, Susie, for the idea. You're the best. I love you. Susie is doing fantastic, by the way. She tells you all hi. Coming up soon, she will be in an adventure. But as you can imagine, with everything that's going on right now, life is a little bit hectic, so... I want to take a second here and stop eating to talk about something that took place recently. Unfortunately, we lost one of our own, and I'm talking about a viewer. Roughly 5 years ago, I received an email from a guy named Mike, and he was searching for deals. And over the years, him and I, we've become pretty good friends. And unfortunately, the other day, he was admitted to the hospital. He had some sort of like respiratory thing, and unfortunately Mike passed away. Roughly a week ago, he sent me an email telling me that he had found some incredible deal on Temu, and he was super excited. I wrote him back and I told him to keep me updated. Roughly a week later, I received an email from him, and he's telling me that the tents arrived. But get this, they didn't come with rain flies. So he has like 2 or 3 tent bodies without rain flies. So they're completely worthless. This I found to be incredibly funny, and I did have a good laugh about it. Anyways, he mentioned in the same email that he was basically coming down with something. He wasn't feeling that great. A couple of days pass, and he sends me another email, and he states that he's in the hospital, and he is sick as hell, his words. I wrote him back, and I told him, buddy, I hope you get to feeling better. Keep me informed. The next day, I received an email from his sister. She told me that he had passed away from the respiratory illness that he was fighting. How unfortunate, folks. Mike was a good guy. I always called Mike, or referred to him as the deal hunter, because he would go out and he would find the craziest deals. It didn't always work out, but sometimes it did. Like a few years ago, he had purchased like 2 or 3 light fighter tents, the military tents, for like $25 each, in fantastic shape. I don't know how he did it, I don't remember, but that was very impressive. He turned around and sold those and made a nice profit. After that point in time, I referred to him as Mike the Deal Hunter. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. Just like with the Temu tents, that didn't work out. When he told me that he had found some tents for like $25, I was like, $25 on Temu? That sounds scary. It worked out exactly the way that I expected. Anyways, Mike, you will be missed. Good luck on the next stage of your adventure, whatever that may be, you know what I mean? I have no idea what comes after all of this. One day I'll find out. Everybody will. Yep. It's raining pretty good right now. And it sure is foggy, everybody. Very, very foggy. Also, a little bit chilly. I'd actually like to have a fire right now. That's one of the reasons why I went ahead and made dinner. You know, folks, it's been 12 or 13 years since I started this channel. Over a decade. Somebody mentioned that to me the other day in a message. They said something about my baby face in those initial videos. The funny thing is that I was like in my mid-30s when I started this channel. You know what I mean? Baby face at like 35 or something or other. Not quite 35, but close. A decade on YouTube is a long time, you know? And I have to say, I really, really have enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. It is really, really raining now. We've had light rain all day, but now it's picking up some. Good. Soak everything, you know what I mean? I'm definitely getting out of here tomorrow morning, you know what I mean? All of this rain, factor in the heat tomorrow, it is going to be humid as down here. And I don't want any part of it. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have my coffee and then go home. I'm going to get out of here. Looking back over the last 10 years, the last decade, as far as the outdoor industry goes, some things have changed, but a lot hasn't, you know? Unfortunately, the outdoor industry really hasn't advanced that much in the last 10 years. It's actually surprising to me how things have slowed down. I was expecting new materials, new designs, but we're just not seeing it. It's just not there. It's been a long time since I've seen something truly like next level, a step ahead. That is one of the reasons why anytime I see something different, I get so excited, right? It's because I've seen the same thing year in, year out. And that's especially true with American companies. They're just not innovative anymore, which is a real shame, right? When was the last time that Big Agnes brought out an interesting product? Or Nemo, or something like that, right? Take Mountain Hardware, take Marmot. They're still producing the same ugly tents that they were producing 5 years ago, 10 years ago in some cases. The designs are exactly the same. There's been no advancement, no innovation. And it really is a shame. All of these companies I do like. They make fantastic products, but they're going nowhere fast. And you can see how this is hurting the industry, or at least I do, as an insider. I see how these companies are performing financially. It's not very good. All of them are on the downswing. Outdoor retailers are shutting their doors. They're doing terribly financially. And a lot of that is because there's no innovation. There's no reason to go out to purchase that new tent, because the tent you have and the new one on the market, they're the exact same thing. The new one's not doing anything different. With that being said though, the biggest change that I've seen over the last 10 years is really a good one. I've seen more women getting into the outdoors than ever before. When I started this channel, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it was, when I was out hiking, even on the Appalachian Trail, it was very uncommon to come across a female hiker. But now, you'll come across female hikers all the time, all over the place, anywhere you go. And I think that is truly awesome. I'll never forget the lady hiker that I came across, I don't know, a handful of years ago. She was hiking the AT. She had this big backpack on. She had a leash in her hand that was connected to a cat. That was pretty funny and pretty awesome. I really do think it's fantastic that everybody's getting out, they're hitting the trails, they're hiking, they're backpacking, they're camping, and so on. It truly is fantastic. If you're a woman who is thinking about getting into hiking and camping and, you're going to do some solo stuff, the only thing I would say is that, common sense reigns supreme. There's no reason why a female can't get out and do a backpacking trip by herself. But at the same time, she needs to be prepared to protect herself, right? This is just real world common sense sort of stuff. It really is no different than a man who has to protect himself. Whenever you're going off on a hiking trip, out into the middle of nowhere, or even somewhere, you need to be prepared to protect yourself, at least somewhat. I'm not telling anybody to carry a handgun or anything like that. Everybody needs to be able to take care of themselves, or at least have a means to attempt to take care of themselves, right? You take a look at the trip that you want to do, you plan for everything that can happen, you do your best, you plan to protect yourself the best that you can, and then you go out on your trip and fate takes control. This day and age, in a lot of circles, it is frowned upon to even discuss being able to protect yourself when you're out on an adventure like this, or a hiking trip, backpacking trip and whatnot. It's frowned upon, and it shouldn't be, because what we're talking about here is just a common sense sort of thing. You got to cover your bases, right? You bring a tarp with you just in case it rains. You bring your first aid kit with you just in case you have to take care of some sort of issue out on the trail. And at the same time, you have to think about your protection. It's just a common sense sort of thing. And, you know, the simple fact is that women are preyed upon more so than men. But I can tell you, folks, everybody is at risk somewhat. And I'm not trying to put fear into anyone, right? The odds are incredibly remote that anything's ever going to happen. But they do happen. It does happen. Whoa, there's an owl right over there. See, folks, the owl agrees with me. There you go, right? Confirmation. It's all settled. It's all settled. You know, it's like Susie goes out on solo trips from time to time. And every single time that she goes out, she has her bases covered as far as protection goes. That would be my advice for any female hikers, right? It's just pure common sense, nothing more. Anyways, that is definitely the biggest change that I've seen over the last 10 years, and it really is a good change. Hopefully, we'll begin seeing some advancements as far as the outdoor technology goes, with fabrics and materials and so on, because the outdoor industry needs it really, really badly. So many of these companies are struggling right now, and it's because they just continue to make the same thing. They're not changing anything at all. They're making no innovations, no advancements. We'll see what happens, folks. We will see what happens. Just like we'll see what happens to this sandwich. I have a suspicion that I'm going to eat it, that it's going to disappear. This is nice, everybody. We have the fire going. It feels good. It's still raining out. The wind is calm. Talk about perfect conditions. As far as the temperature goes, 50 degrees. Tonight, it's not supposed to be all that cold. I think 49. There's a little bit of a chill to the air, and that's just because of all of the moisture. Tell you what, let's read the forecast real quick. Let's see exactly what is coming our way tonight. Showers likely, mainly between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. Low 49 degrees, chance of rain 60%, up to half an inch of rain. That's pretty good. There's a chance of rain showers before 11 a.m. and then a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow after 4. High near 81 degrees. Ooh. Friday, 86. That is way too hot, folks. That is way too hot. Wow. You know, folks, I think I fell asleep there for a minute. About 15 minutes there. Kind of dozed off. Being next to this fire, nice and warm. Life is good, you know? This is incredibly comfortable. Right next to this fire. The sound of the rain hitting the tarp. The cool conditions. It's perfect. The plan for the rest of the night is pretty simple. Just gonna kick back, relax, enjoy this. And before you know it, I'm gonna turn in for the night. It's been a long day, as I mentioned. Long day. It is time for an update, everybody. It is almost 10 p.m. and it is pouring out there right now. I was laying here in the dark and I saw a flash. There is a thunderstorm out there and it looks like it's coming this way. You never know, folks. We might just get hit. Everybody, the storm is on top of us right now and it is pouring out there. Already the campsite here is completely flooded. This is unbelievable. The forecast was not calling for this. Right now we are getting hit by a strong thunderstorm. It is time for an update. It is a little bit after 11 o'clock at night, and round 1 is done. Round 2 is coming in shortly. Based upon what I'm seeing on the radar, it is going to be a very interesting night. Good morning, folks. Good morning. It is a little bit after 7 o'clock. It is incredibly foggy. And there's 2 impressive points. 1 was the amount of rain that fell last night. And 2, every bit of it soaked into the ground. There's not a water puddle anywhere. That is impressive considering the fact that multiple inches of rain fell last night. I mean, it was on all night long. Heavy rain, thunderstorm, heavy rain, thunderstorm. It just continued all night long. It is very, very foggy this morning, as I mentioned. At the same time, it's really not that cold. The temperature has definitely gone up, and it's also very humid. Last night before I went to bed, I broke down the chair and the table. As soon as I began seeing flashes of lightning, I knew that this area would flood. I could just tell by the landscape. That really was a smart move. If I left everything out, it would have been soaking wet because it was raining so hard. And you can actually see how everything flooded here. Look at the mud. The mud originates over here, it goes underneath the vehicle and down the hill. This, my friends, is a fantastic cup of coffee, and it's a great way to wake up this morning. I have to say, I didn't sleep all that great last night just because of all of the heavy rain. You know, imagine like downpour after downpour beating on this 4Runner. I wish I had some earplugs last night. By like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I wish I had some in the vehicle. Why don't I have some? I need to bring some with me next time. I did watch part of a movie last night, one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is Cliffhanger. I love that movie. I love it. It's fantastic. Apparently the sequel is in production right now. Unfortunately, Sylvester Stallone is not going to be in it. Apparently he was going to be, but then he pulled out, probably because he's just simply too old. How old is he? Like 80 or something? Seriously, he's like 80 years old. How old is Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, making him 78 years old.
78. It is surprising to me, everyone, just how warm and humid it is this morning. Like, it is almost to the point where, like, I'm uncomfortable. Not only because I'm warm, but because, like, it's so stuffy, right? I could just barely breathe through my nose right now. That's crazy. It's gonna be so hot today and very hot tomorrow. The best thing about this type of camping is the breakdown process. There's not much to do. I mean, all I have to do is take down the tarp, shut the hatch, and boom, I'm ready to rock and roll. That's pretty nice, you know? My friends, I think it's time to pack everything up and to go home. I have quite a drive ahead of me. To get out here, it's almost 2 hours. It's pretty far. And with this fog, it's going to be slow going. I will give you all a tip when it comes to camping like this, right? Bring a dry bag with you. That way, you have a place to put your wet stuff, like this tarp and these poles. I recommend getting a large dry bag, roughly 65 liters. It'll fit just about everything, including tarps, tents, tarps and tents, you know what I mean? Make sure that you have enough space for all of your wet gear. It will keep the inside of your vehicle nice and dry. And then when you get the opportunity, you can take everything out at home and dry it. My friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me for this trip. I hope you all have had a good time. If you did, hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Everybody, take care. Be well. Strength and honor. Be safe out there. Bye for now.